So you just grabbed an iPhone 7 and you want to try some games out on it right away. The prettier, the better. So here's 5 of the best app games you need to play as soon as possible. First off is an amazing game that originally came on console but had a perfectly done transition to mobile, Transistor. This is still one of the prettiest games available on iPhone, and with the 7's new stereo speakers, you can lose yourself in the game's incredible soundtrack so much more. It blends this sort of real-time, top-down adventure game with a tactical pause option where you can unleash powerful combos on enemies. But what's even more interesting is the game's RPG aspects, allowing you to combine numerous powers to create customized special attacks or gaining passive bonuses. It's beautiful, challenging, and has a ton of replayability teamed up with the game's satisfying story and incredible soundtrack. If you haven't played this before, you've got to check it out now. Now, number 2 is the most recent game in one of the best franchises to find its home on mobile, The Room 3. Really, this whole series is worth checking out. They are easily some of the best puzzle games on iOS, thanks to great visuals, intuitive controls, and a huge variety of puzzle types challenging all kinds of players. Seriously, this game does some trippy stuff, and even if you find yourself breezing through a number of challenges, you're bound to encounter one or two that'll stump you. And the whole thing is packaged together with this really ominous, bare-bones mystery plot that leaves you waiting for more and more games to further delve into the setting. Check the series out, you will not regret it. Third up, let's take a break from the more complex stuff and look at a much simpler, straightforward, super addictive game, Chameleon Run. Like most auto runners, the basic idea here is pretty simple. Tap the screen to jump, and don't die. But thankfully, the game adds a lot more complexity than that, and pretty quickly. You have to keep changing your color to match what you're touching, and the game's frantic pace along with walls that auto-change your color can make it tricky to keep up with. And while the visuals aren't exactly detailed, the vibrant colors and simplicity of the art makes it surprisingly really good looking, though you never have much time to gawk at things given the speed of the game. Throw in objectives for replayability and trying to one-up your friend's best time, and this makes for a really addictive game you can kill time with on the go. Coming in at number 4 is Teeny Titans. This game takes an all-too-real obsession with collectibles and puts it in a game that ends up working beautifully. You run around town as Robin collecting various figures of different heroes and villains that you then use to battle it out with enemies in 3v3 RPG-style fights. Each figure has its own stats and set of moves, and the game even uses a rock-paper-scissors mechanic where certain types of heroes trump others and get bonus damage. It's really bizarre though how well this game taps into the collector mentality, sending players on these self-inflicted quests to visit each store in the game, flinging figures off the shelves in the hope of finding a rare one, as well as saving up to spend a bunch of money on a special one. If you just want to blitz the game's story, it isn't very long, but if you really buy into the collection fever, this game will hook you for much, much longer. Now last, but far from least, is my most recent personal obsession on iPhone, Severed. Severed is this really weird, warped mixture of a dungeon crawler with Infinity Blade and Fruit Ninja. You make your way through this twisted world filled with crazed monsters, slashing your way through them, timing how you handle which enemies when, and ultimately cutting off parts of them to collect and improve your character. Its art is intriguing to say the least, and despite its overt violent tone, it actually has a fairly deep and interesting story behind it. And the game's dungeons are littered with little secrets and collectibles for you to find. Combat is super intuitive, and at its heart, it really is a puzzle game more than anything else, forcing you to learn enemy attack patterns, timing of those attacks, and knowing how to slice just right when the opportunity arises to get as many upgrades as you can. Don't let appearances fool you, this game is surprisingly deep and is a worthwhile addition to anyone's app game library. That, or you can ignore this entire list and just use your phone as a $700 Pokemon Go machine. Also a valid choice.